September 1st, 2025. And we're going to run through some of the top headlines in the world. The big headline is the deadly earthquake in Afghanistan that's killed upwards of 1,000 people. CNN today focusing on the Chicago mayor signing legislation over the weekend saying that his city's police cannot cooperate with the feds in rounding up illegal immigrants. And do you see that headline in the top right from CNN? There's a new world order in the Atlantic Ocean. It's pretty interesting. Rudy Giuliani reportedly yesterday, Sunday, August 31st, was in a bad car accident. Today, Fox News has been saying there's a lot of unfounded conspiracy theories about it. You know, got to get Giuliani back in the news as the September 11th anniversary comes around, right? 11 days prior. Of course, 9/11 was all about 11. Happened on the 31st of the month. The 31 is the 11th prime number. Kind of reminds you of buildings 1, 2, and 7 in New York. 127 is the 31st prime. 31 is the 11th prime. They called it the new Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor happened on December 7th in the year Pentagon construction began. A lot of people have been asking me to look into the death of Reggie Carroll, the comedian who had recently performed alongside Katt Williams. I prefer to call him Cap Williams. I personally can't stand Katt Williams. I don't think he's funny. Every time he's talking, he's lying. It's so obvious. He got all that attention when he did the interview with Shannon Sharp, talking about the industry like he wasn't talking about himself. Clearly a gay man. He kept saying 201, 201, 201. We're going to see what that has to do with the death of Reggie Carroll. The cyber attack in Nevada. Oh man, I'm dealing with a cyber attack on myself. The one on me was 2 days before the one on Nevada, reportedly. But yeah, it's just that this kind of stuff just reminds you that this day and age we live in, it is ridiculous. And again, because everything is digital and they want to move us to a more and more digital place where all of our money's digital and everything we do is digital, that we're just less and less secure. And just in the snap of fingers, you can lose everything. I can tell you all about it. And then also a shout out to King Richard. King Richard added on a major detail in the Minnesota Catholic school shooting. Who can remember that, right? Nobody remembers anything past Monday. It's the United States of Amnesia. That was all the way last week. Are you kidding me? But we're going to take a look at it because it's just more proof of exactly what's really going on in the world. So, they said that this earthquake in Afghanistan happened just before midnight local time. And, of course, it's the big news on September 1st, 2025. It was just about to tick September 1st when this happened. But I want you to notice something. Because, again, we talk about this all the time, right? It seems like this number is just... It might be the most redundant number with suspicious earthquakes, deadly earthquakes. Years ago, Dutch Cents would have been December 6, 20... Yeah, it was December 6, 2017. It was... About a month before then, I said, December 6, 2017 is going to have a 55 date numerology. It would be written 6/12 in the majority of the world. And in Revelation 6:12, the sixth seal's open and there's a deadly earthquake. And I said, the 55 date numerology and that date, I said, just watch, there's going to be an earthquake in the world, Sure enough, it was a 5.5, and that 5.5 in December gets all extra interesting because, of course, December is 15, like Santa, reshuffling of Satan. But anyway, today on 55 date numerology, this focus on this deadly earthquake in Afghanistan, the place we invaded after September 11th. And as I point out so many times, there's a lot of rituals in the world historically with all these numbers you see on the screen with earthquakes. If you're new here, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words. There's 4 base ciphers of the English language, and I learned about this in the 1926 book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages. the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, both orders with numerology applied. You can see military has triple overlap with earthquake 107, 44, 55. And don't forget what day we invaded Afghanistan back in 2001. It was on October 7th, 10/7, right? We went in there on 10/7. But on this 55 date numerology, as September begins, it's got to be at least a subliminal trigger for almost everybody in the world. Afghanistan, September, 9/11. But yeah, just what a date for this. And I was bringing up the story about December 6, 2017, because I made the prediction about there'd be an earthquake in the world on that day in tribute to Revelation 6:12. Dutch Sense, who's pretty much the most famous YouTuber for covering earthquakes, or at least he used to be, he made a video saying how dumb that was. And I was like, why would you critique that, especially after it happened? And it was reported as a 5.5. Again, beware of a lot of people on YouTube, especially successful YouTube channels. It's hard to have a successful YouTube channel if you're exposing anything that actually exposes something like the government and the media, which is what we do every day on a regular basis. Dutch Sense has his fancy graphics with the whole world quaking and like, look, I told you there was going to be an earthquake. There's like, you had the whole world with rings around it. I mean, I don't even know why people watch that channel. It's like, what do you get out of this? There's nothing you can do with this information. For any dope who'd come here and say that, well, you're not part of the community who padded their pockets again this weekend off rigged football and other rigged sports. Again, you learn this knowledge, you see how it plays from rigged news, rigged elections, rigged sports, rigged market, rigged crypto, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, the last time there was the big earthquake in the world, which didn't make any sense, it was totally by the numbers. We were talking about 55 as well. So here we are again on 55 date numerology, and the focus of the world is this deadly earthquake in Afghanistan. And notice the word quake also equates to 55 and 19. There's two date numerology paths today. One is 55, the other is 19. They both break down to 1. 55 becomes 5 plus 5 is 10. 10 becomes 1 plus 0 is 1. 19 becomes 1 plus 9 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. You get the 55 by adding the day plus the month plus the year in two parts. You get the 19 method by just adding everything digit by digit. 9 plus 1 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 5 is 19. Again, you'll see the terminology quake, you'll see the terminology earthquake, and we've seen these patterns over and over the years. It was years ago now. I remember there was a bad earthquake in Mexico some years back on September 1st. But, and again, a ripe date for a quake. But yeah, initially, the initial reporting was more than 800 killed. Usually these numbers climb as the time goes on. And so often these deadly earthquakes happen in third world places because the structures are more prone to the shaking. They're not built like they are out here in the West. People are living in stone homes. The stones fall apart, heavy stones landing on people. It's absolutely disgusting. And here's the thing, too. You can just imagine this is going on in all kinds of households, especially in this country. Probably in the UK, too. We're looking at the BBC headlines where people look and they feel like some kind of good feeling from this. Like, oh, good. Yeah, that's where those evil people live that did 9/11 and, the 7/7 bombings. It's like, no, those people didn't have anything to do with that. Your same government did that to you and then blamed it on these poor people to start, another military industrial complex endeavor that's made a lot of money for the people at the top and ended up, the dopes who haven't figured out that their government's just here to manipulate them, use them, abuse them, tax them. For all people who haven't figured that out yet, you fall for all their stories, their lies, and then you send off your children to die, and then they come home with a flag on the casket, and you think, well, at least they died for a righteous cause, but no, they didn't really. You just fell for the whole lie, hook, line, and sinker, and you're probably still falling for it, which is why you're sitting there yourself going, oh, these dirty Muslims, they deserve this. That's God's punishment. And speaking of God, you guys, too, notice, Satan has the 55 connection, but so does God. Isn't it interesting? And some people's God is Satan. And, yeah. Anyway, if you're thinking you're part of some superior religion that's holier than thou, and these are some dirty Muslims, and you're having these kind of thoughts in your head, your God is probably Satan as well. So, just so you know, in case you're having trouble figuring that one out. And Satan, obviously, I tend to think more metaphorical, but Obviously, we know what it is. Satan, the father of lies, connected to evil. My point is, if you're having those kind of thoughts, your whole spiritual belief system is upside down and you're part of the evil. And that's why you're so easily manipulated by the evil cabal. But yeah, it's you know what else? The other thing I couldn't help but notice is CNN is just talking up and down about The Rock today about how much money, or not money, how much weight he lost. You can see here on the side this earthquake story. The Rock has a feature, or the BBC has a feature story on The Rock. Remember last year we circled 2 dates for earthquakes, perfectly connected to The Rock's 52nd birthday on May 2nd because Earth is 52. But the dates we circled were 96 days after his birthday and 174 days after his birthday. There were earthquakes on both of those days. He was in the movie San Andreas about the 9.6 magnitude quake. That's the plot of the movie, a 9.6. Like San Andreas is 96 forwards, 174 in reverse. Again, we circled those 2 dates. Remember, the first one was a 5.5. 96 days after his birthday was a 5.5 in Bakersfield. And then the one 174 days after his birthday was a 4.4 with 4 minutes left in the day. It was just before midnight. It was a 5.5 and a 4.4. So, and you know what, California? Let's hope nothing happens in the next 8 days. September 9th, California will turn 175 years old. Right now, the state of California is 174. And the earthquake that was 174 days after The Rock's birthday, that was a 4.4, it was also 44 days after the state's birthday. 4.4, 44 days. So, yeah, there hasn't been any major earthquake in California while the state's 174 years old, and let's hope it stays that way. Out of curiosity, The Rock's birthday is May 2nd, so what is that? 59, 90. That's interesting. It's 121 days after his birthday, if I'm doing the math right. The old Revelation number, like you got that earthquake in Revelation. Yeah, yesterday would have been, what's up with that? 121, old Revelation 121, blood sacrifice 121. But yeah, I did find it interesting that CNN's talking up and down about The Rock today alongside the earthquake. See the same thing on the BBC page. We've been talking about crazy weather phenomenon, earthquakes synced up with The Rock for a number of years now. And I don't know, I guess if you're a hardcore coincidence theorist, you can just say this is another coincidence. And yeah, just about, I mean, there's a new world order in the Atlantic Ocean out of just all the phrasing CNN could have done. Remember, Aaron formed as a hurricane on the Jesuit order's birthday. It was the first named hurricane in the Atlantic of the 2025 season on the Jesuit order's birthday, August 15th. It was the 73rd anniversary of the first act of weather warfare, which was in 52 on August 15th. And then on 73 date numerology, it flooded the Carolinas. And like I said, they do a lot of 73 stuff with the Carolinas in sports. One's happening tonight. 73-year-old Bill Belichick is coaching the North Carolina Tar Heels. And funny enough, it's 138 days after Bill Belichick's birthday, like Labor Day is 138. You see how Labor Day is also 78? So is William Belichick. So we'll see what they do with that tonight. Had to love the Miami upset at Notre Dame last night. We had that one on Patreon with old 27. We call Miami the 27th city. But yeah, just don't forget this phrasing from CNN. A new world order in the Atlantic. And just about the phrase new world order, it equals 177. Remember, the Jesuit order equals 177. Notice the overlap with weather control. Remember the Air Force document from the 90s, owning the weather by 2025, but weather control and the Jesuit order have the 177 like New World Order. They also have the 69 and 201. And you see the 75 as well? The 75, let me type in New World Order again. New World Order, 75, right? 75. And they said what's becoming commonplace with these hurricanes is how fast they blow up into a huge magnitude hurricane. And the phrasing they've chosen for this is rapid intensification. Do you see the 107? Like military? Jesuits are a military order, first act of weather warfare on their birthday. Well, yeah, rapid intensification's the word with the New World Order in the Atlantic. Okay, and then moving on, Rudy Giuliani, again, 11 days before the September 11th anniversary is in the headlines because supposedly he was in an accident in an automobile. Where's John Candy at with the planes, trains, and automobiles? Notice how CNN, or not CNN, but Fox News was saying there's no conspiracy theories here. Enough with the conspiracy theories. It was just a car crash, I'm sure. Nothing in the news is just that. Pretty much every day it is a conspiracy. It's just all manipulated bullshit every day. But notice, it was on the 96th day of his age. Conspiracy theory is 96. Now, granted, that's not quite as good of a ritual as the Mel Gibson movie Conspiracy Theory that came out on 8/8, 218 days after his birthday. Again, look it up. Conspiracy Theory did come out on August 8th, once upon a time, 218 days after Mel Gibson's birthday. It's his movie. And he's a good Catholic, right? Like Holy Roman Empire is alive and well in the Catholic Church. It's another 88, 218. They're big numbers with the chump, who's friends with Giuliani. But yeah, it's just obvious that, happened yesterday. It's in the news today. It's September. It's just another reminder. It's just like the Afghanistan thing. Just meant to trigger your mind about not so distant history that's still super relevant today. And by the way, don't forget that Giuliani was the 107th mayor of New York, Military 107. 9/11 happened on his 107th day of his age. And then we invaded Afghanistan on October 7th. And while he's in a car crash, Afghanistan's experiencing an earthquake. And then just the pictures, too, of the supposed cars. Wait, what did I do with it? Did I get rid of the picture? If you've seen the cars supposedly in the accident, it doesn't even look like the kind of car Rudy Giuliani be on. I mean, these government people are almost always in black SUVs, black cars, being chauffeured around. Look like cars that 2 high school kids would have crashed. Anyway, the Reggie Carroll thing. Reggie Carroll was reportedly assassinated by a 38-year-old. Okay, a 38-year-old. And they said this happened near Memphis. We talked about that Memphis 38 murder thing before. Memphis has that gematria 83, 38, and 34. Murder also has the 83, 38, and 34. Of course, death is 38, RIP is 38, killings 38. Deadly number. Again, the Pentagon on the 38th parallel when Pentagon's also 38. So yeah, that's the first thing that really needs to be pointed out. A 38-year-old killer. And the day that he died, August 20th, 2025, August 20th, death is also 20 for the record. And don't forget, the symbol of death, the cross is 20. In history, the cross marks the 4 seasons. Time is 20. A lowercase t is a cross. It's the 20th letter of the alphabet. But August 20th, 2025 was a date with 73 numerology. Sacrifices, 73. Ritual sacrifices, 73. We've seen it a bunch. That pattern in the entertainment industry where he was killed. South Haven, the way it's spelled, equals 46 and 118. Remember, sacrifice is also 46. We see them together all the time. 46, 73. Happens all the time. Genesis 46 is about sacrifice. Genesis is the first of 73 books in Catholic Bibles. Again, the Catholic Church is responsible for the language and the calendar. 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament, 145 more chapters. But yeah, he had recently performed alongside Katt Williams. Oh, by the way, the South Haven 118 in the name. Remember, in Jewish gematria, death and homicide equal 118. But Katt Williams, his 54th birthday is upcoming, right? This happened 13 days before his 54th birthday. Now, remember, the Illuminati was founded with 13 families in Bavaria. Bavaria's 54, like Jesuit order. Jesuit order's 54. A Jesuit, Adam Weishaupt, founded the Illuminati, right? The Jesuit order is 201. And Order of Illuminati is also 201. And remember, the Jesuit Adam Weishaupt, he died in history 201 days after the anniversary of the Illuminati's establishment. When Katt Williams did that interview that got a lot of attention, probably the last time he got this much attention, probably even more than this right now, because that Shannon Sharpe interview with him was huge. It was one of the most viral things on the internet. Was that last year already, or was that earlier this year? The way time flies, I can't remember if that was last year, but anyway, it wasn't that long ago. It's just, that was one of the biggest, most viral moments on the internet in recent history. Katt Williams supposedly exposing the industry. And as I listened to it, I was like, he's just talking about himself. I mean, he's talking about this like this is other people. This is him, you know. Katt Williams, obvious closeted gay guy. He sounds like a little girl. Every time he talks about anything about his own life, it just sounds like a total load of bullshit. You know, some of you guys probably think he's funny. I don't think there's been many funny comics anywhere in the last few days. I almost just want to black out the world from the 90s on. Like, nobody's been funny. Music mostly sucks. Movies are horrible. Society's weaker and softer than ever. I mean, there's, of course, there's some exceptions, but the world has mostly been trash since the 90s ended. 21st century has been a major downfall for humanity. It started off with a bang, with the biggest lie ever told in New York, and all the dummies fell for it, which is almost everybody. Everybody's gotten super soft. You know, football, they might as well dress them up like ballerinas and make it flag football. It's probably coming in a not too distant rule change. But anyway, it's just, yeah, I can't stand Katt Williams. And that interview, everyone was like, "Oh my God, did you hear it?" I was like, "Did you hear who was it saying it?" I mean, the guy who sounds like he was talking about his own life. But yeah, now his, you could say, associate, his cohort, seems to be dead in an Illuminati ritual. Remember, in that interview with Shannon Sharpe, he kept saying 201. He said it right off the bat. He said it multiple times. 201. Again, if you're new here, we talk about 201 all the time. And just about the whole Illuminati thing. You see the 93 and 258 up here as well? Look at where the guy was killed at. 93 and 258. See that? Got all these numbers. So, go figure. And I guess one other thing about the killer, Trinell Williams, 38 years old. He's got the 63 in his name. The 99 is also kind of interesting because the Illuminati was found on 99 date numerology. But if you do write the Illuminati, it is also 63. They got killers on command. How many 38-year-olds they got ready to go for rituals to come this year? And that movie that came out recently, what's the girl's name? SZA or something? She had a movie, and Katt Williams was the writer or something. It was like popular on Netflix maybe 6 months back or so. You know, that movie is just all full of the numbers if you pay attention. They go in the store and the number gets called up. 47, 47, 47. It's just like, God, if you're new here, these are numbers we talk about all the time with the cabal. 201, 47. These are numbers these people use like as gang symbols. So, yeah. Katt Williams, he's in the club. Low level like a lot of these entertainers, but yeah, his whole interview with Shannon Sharpe was really a self-confession. No doubt about it. Yeah, and then as for this ransomware attack, remember last year when it was the biggest tech outage in world history and it messed up all the travel and a whole bunch of other things so it couldn't use their bank? That was on the 201st day of the leap year. There's been a number of other things, connected to the world of cyber attacks that have had this same 201 encoding. What happened in Nevada happened on the day leaving 129 days left in the year. And remember, the number 129 is 201 in base 8 counting, so they have a relationship. It's just like how the first Jesuit university, Georgetown, equals 129. And as for Nevada, remember, there's only 2 states out of the 50 that have the true simple connection to 47. It's Nevada and Ohio. It's like how Ohio State just beat Texas on the 47 date, which is also in Columbus, which has the 47 connection. But anyway, Nevada's got that 47. And the story is that the hackers got all this government data and not only copied it and stole it, but like literally took it out. So now the government's missing a chunk of vital information. And they're saying everyone who's a Nevada resident is now at risk of all kinds of data breaches. And a part of me thinks about, okay, why would the cabal hit Nevada? I mean, think about Nevada. There's, you know, probably all kinds of incriminating information about people's behavior in Nevada, Sin City, from crazy gambling records to other things that are legal in the state, such as prostitution, blackmail city. Um, but yeah, it's just. And by the way, somebody told me to watch the movie The Beekeeper. Have you guys seen this movie with Jason Statham, The Beekeeper? He, the beekeepers are supposedly this organization that works to protect the U.S. government. And I love how it's a British guy, like how we never really got free from England, Jason Statham with his accent. But they're supposedly there to protect the country while working outside of the country. Like they're super skilled fighters, very capable people that use their own judgment to keep things in check. And the plot of The Beekeeper is a major hack happens to a nice old lady who runs a charity for children, and the hackers take all of her money plus over $2 million in the charity that she oversees that's meant to help children in need. And that causes her to delete herself. And Jason Statham happened to be living in her barn at the time. And when he sees what happened to this poor old lady, he takes it on himself to figure out who did this. Because the FBI comes out and the FBI says they can't figure out what's going on. So he uses his beekeeper intel to figure out what's going on. And he traces this hacking network to this little rich kid who's the son of the current U.S. president and who, for his main hired business associate, is the former head of the CIA. And he's using this CIA-level software to hack people and drain all their bank accounts. And he has all these little, groups set up around the nation. Like you find out one of their best hacking groups is ran by a mobster and at the top of a skyscraper in Boston. But I'm like, look at the way Hollywood just mocks us. It's like, and somebody like myself might be like, oh, come on, Zach, that's just the movies. It's like, no, Jen, think about it. Think about what just happened to me. How I get hacked by a Verizon employee literally, and within 15 minutes, they know every single financial account I have, and they're stealing everything. They're maxing out every card. They're draining every last penny out of everything I have within 15 minutes. Like, who in the world, like, even if you guys don't know what happened to me, on August 22nd, I had a Verizon employee port my phone number to Vision, which is a subsidiary of Verizon. So somebody else took over my phone number, and then with that, they were able to reset all my financial account passwords, get into all of them, and then wreak havoc, which I'm dealing with right now. But it's just like, okay, even if like a man on the street got a hold of my phone number or my phone, is he going to figure out every last financial account that I have within 15 minutes and be into all of them and maxing everything out? It's like, what the hell kind of tools do these people have to know exactly where to go and get it all done that fast? And again, it's obvious it's not just one person doing this when it happens, but and then a movie exists like this. And by the way, I had to look up that Beekeepers movie came out on 57 date numerology. Hold on. Is it Beekeepers alone? Hold on. Is it The Beekeeper? Is that what it is? I forget. That's what it is. It's The Beekeeper. That's what it is. The movie came out on 57 date numerology. Like, oh, figures the movie comes out on a corresponding date. And anyway, but yeah, it's just the stuff they put in movies. The biggest hacking operation that the government can't trace is headed by the son of the current president of the United States. It's just annoying. I was like, man, wouldn't that be something if it was Barron Trump who hacked me? It wouldn't even put it past him. But that's what he's been up to all these years, hiding in the shadows. Daddy's got to, repaint the gold walls of his casinos in his penthouse. Anyway, but no, it is annoying just the way we're mocked by Hollywood and how all these things truly are connected. But yeah, Nevada also just, again, that 47 state, the government gets hacked in Nevada. But yeah, Nevadans, beware, man. It's just, I'll tell you what, you get a phone call from anybody this day and age, even if it is a company. Like, I got a call from official Verizon, and again, they told me that the call did come from one of their communication centers. It traced back to the Elko, Nevada store, what happened to me. But Speaking of Nevada, is that, hey, hold on. I got hacked out of the Elko, Nevada store 2 days before this happened. That is kind of weird. That is kind of weird. But yeah, this stuff really is annoying. If the beekeepers really exist, can you get in contact with me? Because I need a Jason Statham to whoop some ass for me. Anyway, shout out to King Richard. King Richard took it even further. If you've missed all the work we did on what happened in Minnesota at the Catholic school on August 27th, again, it's just undeniable. It's undeniable. Jerry Nadler to retire. Breaking news. Anyway, remember the school that got shot up by the guy who's tired of being a gender bender. Remember we told you who has the fingerprints all over the gender bender agenda. Hey, here, you want another 201? Remember, 1968. All these things we're living out today went into motion really in big time in 1968, the year the 201-page book came out. Population bomb about the need to depopulate. Everything in 68. Fentanyl, Cooties 19, 911, World Trade Center construction, all the things that have culminated in the 21st century as the biggest killers, all go back to 68. Big year for the LGBTQ stuff as well. If you're one of those, you're probably not procreating. But remember, the school was on 54th and Garfield, and President Garfield, who the street's named after, was shot on 7/2. And notice how the shooter's name, the school name, and of course the Jesuits, you got the 5472 connection, right? And the head of the Catholic Church for Minneapolis and St. Paul's, Bernard Hebda, from his birthday, September 3rd, to the shooting was the 359th day of his age, the 72nd prime. And remember, we were talking about how they said 2 dead, 17 injured, kind of like the date 217, which is the day of the Jesuit suppression in history, 21/7. From that day to the shooting was 37 days later. Shooting is 37. You could also say a span of 38 days, like Minnesota's 38, like George Floyd on the corner of 38th and a massive 201 Jesuit ritual. But anyway, the Jesuit suppression in history ended on the 359th day of the Pope's age, the 72nd prime. And remember, with regards to 54 and 72, they go to the sun, the object in the sky that the Catholic Church has worshipped for longer than Jesus, the Son of God, who sent out 72 missionaries. Again, the sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. SUN equals 54. They say the sun is 93 million miles away on average. This happened in Minneapolis on the 93rd meridian when Minneapolis, Minnesota equals 93. With regards to Jesus, they say he was crucified on April 3rd, which is the 93rd day of the year, and crucifix, Nazareth, and God's Son all equal 93. Protestant Bibles, it's the 930th chapter where the Christian section begins, 930. In Sumerian Gematria, Christianity is 930. That's just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. You can see C, the third letter is 18. H, the eighth letter is 48. R, the 18th letter is 108. Just taking the alphabetic order and multiplying times 6. It is interesting how the ninth letter in this cipher is 54, because Sun has that gematria of 9 the small way and 54 with the alphabetic order. But anyway, about all this 93 stuff, the head of the Catholic Church in Minneapolis has a 9/3 birthday. Just think about that. 9/3, right? And again, this is a big number with the sports teams and sports rituals in Minnesota. Like, for example, the basketball team's 93. Another thing that's funny is Bernard Hebda. You see the 55? Well, the 71's interesting too, because Catholic's 71. But Minneapolis is 55. You know, they like that number a lot there too. Timberwolves is 55. They play at the Target Center, 55. Huge number in that town. Again, you'll notice this is true all over this country. This isn't just true for what's going on in Minnesota. And it's a reminder, who gave us the calendar and the language, and who did it in the 16th century? The Catholic Church did, and the Jesuits. They synced up the calendar and the language, and they synced up this system, and it's in play everywhere, and there's this perfect ritualism everywhere. And remember, the Jesuit Recruiting Center for the Midwest United States is right across the street from the governor's mansion, and the shooting happened on the 144th day of Tim Walz's age, the governor, on 54th Street, And the police chief who told us all about it's the 54th police chief of the city, and he was installed on November 7th, the day leaving 54 days left in the year. But yeah, how perfect is this? The head of the Catholic Church for the area, it's all perfectly coordinated. It's all just right on the money. Oh shoot, hold on. I forgot to put one thing in here that King Richard mentioned in his decode. Let me see. King Richard said he found the date of birth for Robin Westman. I don't know where it is. If anybody wants to verify if it's true, it's not coming up right away. But King Richard says from Robin Westman's birthday to the shooting was 71 days later, or the 72nd day of his age. Catholic 71, right? Jesuit order 72. Like all the 72s. So yeah, if anybody can verify Robin Westman's birthday, you might have one more 72 there. And just for the record, his full name is perfect. You know, Bernard Anthony Hebda, 89. Religion's 89. There's 89 chapters in the gospel. 89 is the 11th Fibonacci number, coming back to Jesus. We talked about the Bernard Hebda 71 and 55 thing. Notice Harvard and Columbia. But yeah. Quite perfect, quite perfect. So anyway, to conclude, just like the thumbnail says, and just like Fox News told us today, there's no conspiracy theories. Everything's above board. That guy from Hollywood who's been grifting off my work and charging $1,000 to I just wonder who pays that guy $1,000 for him to decode them and show him how he lines up with playing cards. Want to pay me $1,000 and I'll show you what playing card you are? I wonder how many buyers he's had over the years with that offer. And I can't believe anybody watches this channel because it's just so weird how he always goes, remember, next time you look in the mirror and you look into your beady little eyes, just remember to be the best devil you can be. And everything he does, everything on his channel is like to undermine my channel. He's like, he says like, there's no conspiracies. This is just all the way the universe works. It's like, yeah, okay. Yeah. Everything we see in the news is above board. It's just all just the universe. I can't put my finger on why this is the story today on this 9/1 date with 55 numerology, but I know one way or another this is going to factor into the Bears football season. That's how they do it. News and sports. We'll see if we got players speaking out about the Fed crackdown in the city. Are the Chicago Bears coming out, supporting the migrants? And honestly, you guys, the way I really see it is I think everybody should support the migrants. And again, here's the reason why. This is a land of migrants. And again, the reason people are coming across the border illegally is something you had politicians telling you about 33 years ago when NAFTA passed in 92. The Byron Dorgans of the world were telling you, because we passed NAFTA, when this goes into effect, it's going to destroy Mexican farmers all south of the border. And these people will have no option but to come here for work. And yeah, again, we destroyed the economies of those nations with the trade deal that really only benefited the super rich. It's just like, I told you, my neighbor just around the corner, he runs the Treetop plant out here, Treetop that makes apple juice and applesauce and actually makes Gerber baby food and all this stuff. He was blowing my mind earlier this summer when he was telling me what the cost of a ton of apples is for Treetop. I need to go ask him again, but remember it was something just so minute, it was insane. I was like, how does anybody even make any money off that? It costs way more money for the fuel and the transportation costs than the apples. Yeah, I forget exactly what the exact price was, but for a ton, which is 2,000 pounds of apples, it was right around $20 is what Treetop pays. Can you imagine picking 2,000 pounds of apples to sell to Treetop for $20? You know, oh, good, I can put a few gallons of gas in my car. Had to work out here all week to pick the 2,000 pounds, and my back sure hurts, and I fell off my ladder 5 times, but at least I can put a few gallons in, you know? So, no, this is the kind of stuff that happened with NAFTA. And just imagine if before you made money on your apples, and now that's the way the economy's set up. So, if everyone going, well, wait a minute, when I go to the grocery store and buy apples, they cost a ton now. Exactly. You know, Kroger's probably getting a dozen for $20 as well, the biggest grocery outlet, and they're selling them to you for a fortune at the store. I'm telling you. It's because these corporations, they got us all bent over. We don't realize how bad we're getting bent over because there's still hot water coming out of the shower. There's still food on the grocery shelves. But yeah, we're all getting bent over by this system. I see King Richard in the chat. King Richard, what's the dude's birthday? Where did you find it at? King Richard, where did you find that guy's where did you find the shooter's birthday? I see you got a post. You got a post. All right, this is the King Richard post. He gave us the intel on the Catholic bishop. Let's see. Is that the name of his mom? Mary Grace Westman. Here, we're coming up on the Virgin Mary's birthday on September 8th. The full name of and it was 101 days after Leo had his coronation. Hold on. All right, so this is where you found his birthday, I see. The above entitled matter came on for hearing before the undersigned judge on April 15th, 20. Am I blind? I don't know why I can't find his birthday on here. I don't know. I don't see the birthday anywhere on that document. I don't know. I must be blind. But King Richard said he found it. It was June 17th. So yeah, 71 days later, or a span of 72. I'll be out there in a minute. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we definitely covered how the sync this was with the mayor. So yeah, we've done a lot of work on the incident. Yeah, yeah. Let me see if I can. All right. All right, King Richard is going to do an update and get the birthday out there. But yeah, if it is June 17th, it is just one more perfect 72. And if you think it's the universe doing all this stuff, I mean, you're out of your mind. Also, weird story that CNN has up today. Again, it's about how in this Catholic nation where they don't teach birth control, it's in the Philippines, how a lot of girls are getting pregnant there between ages 10 and 14. And again, we're right before the Virgin Mary's birthday. I feel like there's something to that being one of CNN's featured stories here on September 1st. How How about this one right here where they got a big fat 68 in front of your face? These American mercenaries are revered in China. Their relatives are among the few U.S. invitees to Xi's World War II military parade. All right, but yeah, anyhow, I got my mom visiting real quick. She says the potatoes are hot and ready. So we're going to go grab a potato. Thank you to the super chatter. Shout out to Dale. Dale, always with the generosity. Appreciate it again, Dale. Thank you so much. And if you guys could hit the like, there's almost 300 of you watching. We got 100 likes, so about 1 out of 3 people have hit the like. Again, if you think this work needs to reach more people, potentially open a few more minds, please do hit the like. And once the stream's over, if you can just leave a 1 or 2 word comment, that's supposed to help the algorithm as well. So thank you again. Since I said that one person hit the like, I appreciate it. A bunch of people left without hitting the like. That was nice. All right. Anyway, we'll leave it there for now, you guys. And until next time.